Boom Chanka! Hi everyone, how's it going? It's the Flying Pig here on Flying Pig United with a little transfer talk video for you. Just discussing Harry Maguire's potential move to Manchester United this summer, which I think is one of those transfers that actually could happen this summer. It makes a lot of sense for Manchester United. It makes a lot of sense for Harry Maguire. There is a lot of talk about what club he will be going to in the summer. Will he be staying at Leicester? There's teams like Chelsea and Arsenal and even Spurs that are apparently interested in the lad. He's a player that I have championed for a while, especially the season he had, before the World Cup, and then obviously his World Cup performance. That really sort of cemented himself as one of those players that was in my mind that would be good for United, simply based on the way that he goes about it, his mentality, the fact that he is a fighter, the fact that he is a leader, the fact he does put his body on the line. He is a very good technically gifted defender. He's a good all-round ball-playing defender as well. He can contribute and chip in for the odd goal here and there, but also very defensively sound. And more importantly than that, just way better than Jones and Smalling. Absolutely miles better than those guys. We've seen from Maguire, in a short amount of time in the Premier League, that he is, in my opinion, miles ahead of those guys. And obviously those guys have been at Manchester United consistently for a very, very long time. And we've seen more from Harry Maguire in a blue shirt over at Leicester than we've seen from those melts for a very long time at United. So, there's talk about other defenders that maybe could come in for Manchester United. There's a lot of speculation and talk about Koulibaly coming over from Serie A. But really, I think the Harry Maguire transfer is more realistic than that. I think it would probably take less money and we'd probably have to pay him less wages. And at the end of the day, you will get a defender who is bang up for the task of playing in the Premier League for United, knows the cause. That's my opinion anyway. Obviously, it's easy to say that. I'm sure Alexis Sanchez said that before he joined Manchester United, but there you go. There's some really good things about Harry Maguire, though. He's only 26 years of age. He'll only be getting better. He probably would come to Manchester United, because that's the thing. We're sort of in this strange market now where we don't have Champions League football. There's other teams across Europe, even in our own Premier League, that can offer potential players, Champions League football, which is something we cannot do. So let's just say, for instance, the likes of Spurs or the likes of Chelsea want to sign Harry Maguire this summer. It does cause a bit of a conundrum for Manchester United, because not only will they probably pay him just as much, but they obviously do have the Champions League football to offer him. But I think Harry Maguire might be the sort of player that would relish the opportunity to come in and get his teeth stuck into a real mission that is getting Manchester United back to where they belong. He could come in and be a star defender for us effectively. And listen, I'm not saying Harry Maguire is Maldini here. But I think he's a very good Premier League defender. He's a big lad, 6'4", puts his body on the line, knows what it is to play in the Premier League, because that's another thing. You can go and get Koulibaly, you can go and get somebody else across Europe, but there's no guarantees that they're going to come into the Premier League, slot in right away, understand how the game flows, how it works, get the tempo, all that sort of stuff. It's a more physical league. And there's no guarantees that a player coming in from abroad will perform. There's slightly more guarantees that a player who's already been doing it in the Premier League for years will be up to the task of being a top quality Premier League defender for you. So there's a lot of angles you can look at this from, most of which make a lot of sense. The only thing that worries me a little bit is the amount of money that Manchester United might have to pay in order to bring Harry Maguire to the club, which is probably somewhere in the region of £60 million plus. I believe Jose Mourinho wanted to bring him over to the club last summer, and we put in quite a big bid for it, and it was knocked back. So let's just see. Obviously, a contract's gone down another year here. £60 million for Harry Maguire. In this current market, it doesn't sound like a horrendous amount of money. When you base it on, how much players are going for these days, £60 million, if you're going to get a committed leader at the back who doesn't have two left feet like Small Dong and No Bones, and can actually fight for you every single week, lead for you every single week, isn't injury prone, that sounds like a reasonable amount of money. A few years ago, absolutely not. But now, with the market the way it is, £60 million, who knows? It might just be the right amount of money. And more importantly than that, as well, not more importantly, but importantly, it's not going to break the bank to actually keep him at the club. Maybe you could sign him on 160, 180,000 pounds a week, something like that, a reasonable amount of money. United need to get our wage structure and our expenditure in control here. We are setting the wrong example to people in the club. That's maybe why we had this Ander Herrera situation where he's just looking for greener pastures over at PSG. We're not prepared to pay him what he is probably worth, but we are prepared to pay, Young 120k a week, or Jones 100 grand a week, and Alexis Sanchez 500 grand a week and stuff like that. We have this discrepancy in the back room where we're paying players doesn't seem to be based on performances out there on the pitch. It's obviously just based on the name, the reputation, the brand, if you like, how many freaking Instagram followers they have and stuff like that. It's totally wrong. Get the biggest paid players off our books and try and get them in with, well-paid players, but who are there because they want to be there, who are there because they understand the cause, who are there because they know that United is one of the greatest clubs in English football, and they will relish the opportunity of pulling on that red shirt. That's the sort of market we're in right now. We're not in the going out there and signing Champions League marquee signings for £100 million and paying them 400 grand a week. No, it's too much of a gamble at this stage. United need to focus on getting back to basics. We need to focus on heart. We need to focus on passion. And I think he is certainly one of those players that could come in and do that job for us. He seems like, a ready-made player for Manchester United. There is problems. Will Leicester City want to get rid of him? Will old small Todd Rogers over there want to get rid of his best defender? It's doubtful. But then, if we do come in with a big money offer, like 60 million, and maybe we just sweeten the deal by getting rid of one of those melt jobs as well, going in the opposite direction. I'm talking about Smalling. Come on, Rogers. You've always rated Chris. And Phil No Bones. You love him, don't you, Brendan? Just get him over there. So anyway, you never know. I doubt that that'll probably muddy the deal, not sweeten it, won't it? But either way, it's a probability. Maybe they would want somebody else in the opposite direction. Ashley Young, you want him? He's yours. Or one of the other defenders at United. So there's some possibilities there that we could do that. Not only that, if we are actually being realistic this summer, we know Ole Gunnar needs to strengthen. More importantly, we know that we need to get rid of a few bad eggs at the club, a few players that are not quite up to United's standard, a few players that maybe mentally aren't quite at the races. Phil Jones and Smalling, they could absolutely depart this summer. It makes sense. They've served their time at the club. They've had plenty of opportunity. They've shown and proven over the years that they're just not quite United quality. Even in terms of squad players, I think we could do better than those guys, because you do need players to come in when you're away from home in certain games, FA Cup, Europa League, whatever it may be, and do a job. Problem is, you put those guys at the back against Cardiff City, a relegated team, at home at Old Trafford, and they just completely melt and implode and show that they've got errors galore in them. So I don't think they're up to the standard, even when you're coming up against lower opposition. I just don't think they're the type of players you can slot in there like a Wes Brown or a John O'Shea that's going to give you a good 7 out of 10 performance every week. They're melters at the end of the day. But there you go. I mean, I wanted to make this video because I think it's a realistic transfer that could happen this summer if United are prepared to spend the money. And I'm saying we shouldn't be spending a lot of money this summer. This should really be one of our only marquee signings. It's like I say, marquee signings haven't worked out well for us. And he's not, a marquee signing like Alexis Sanchez was, or like Falcao was, or like Pogba and Lukaku are big marquee signings for big money on big money. He's not quite like that, but I like that. I think United should be in that market right now. We've tried that over the last few years. Our recruitment hasn't worked out. It's been poor. And the amount that we've had to pay for players and the amount that we have to pay them weekly on a weekly basis is just not really, it's not really right for this club at this moment in time. We don't need another prima donna mercenary coming into the club, causing an upset in the dressing room, being paid an extortionate amount of money, and there's no guarantee that he's going to go out there on the pitch and do it. We need to be working our way somewhere in the middle now. We need to be in the market for hungry players. We need to be in the market for players with a lot of potential. Maybe they're young players like this Daniel James lad, who looks a good quality young player and who will not break the bank and who could potentially go on and be a future star. And for now, will certainly battle and fight and try his absolute hardest to try and get in that United side and cement himself as a top-level footballer. Because that's what it's all about for these young lads. They are hungry. The problem with people like Paul Pogba, you see him arguing with the fans at the end of the game there, he deserved every bit of that criticism. I'm sorry, you pay your money to go in there and you're not entertained at all. You deserve you basically showed a complete pile of wank out there on the pitch, and then people like Pogba, their heads go, they're not tracking back, they're not, marking the runner, all that sort of stuff, just basic stuff that you would expect from your football team. Forget the result, forget the performance. It's more about the effort out here for people like Paul Pogba, and in my opinion, he absolutely deserved the, that criticism at the end of there. But what it's more about for United now is getting players in there who are not like that, who don't allow their heads to drop, who, even if they are 3-0 down in a game, will think they've got the right mentality that they can go on and win that game. They've got to keep trying and at the very least make it as close a result as possible. We 100% need people like that. If you look at Liverpool recently, I hate to say it, but that's something they have improved in their side. And you don't need to spend a big amount of money in order to do that. Look at Robertson. I think they paid like 6, 7, 8 million for that lad. And of course, he's a great wing back for them. He's a great leader, great fighter. So you can get these gems for not a lot of money. It's more about just looking at the character of the players and of course how they will progress. Maybe we're not right in the market right now for signing players who are 32, 33 years of age. It's not the right look for United at the moment. We need players who still have a bit of growing to do, who maybe are approaching the best years of their career, like Harry Maguire, who's only 26 years of age, and whose best years as a defender in the Premier League will be from the ages of 26 to about 32. So he makes perfect sense to bring somebody in like that. We, of course, need to strengthen a lot of other areas. I will be making some other videos just to give you my opinion on who I think would be good for Manchester United to bring in this summer transfer window, and of course who we need to get rid of, because we do need to have a big clear out at United. I know Ole Gunnar said that only 1 or 2 would be leaving, but surely that was just to keep everyone motivated until the final game of the season. Surely he's going to swing the axe now. There's talk about whether Ole will even be here come the start of next season, whether or not he might hang up his hat, because he's the sort of guy who's not going to milk money out the club like Jose, terminate contract, pay him off 3 years. No. If for whatever reason the board didn't want him, he'd just step down. He's that kind of guy. He loves United. He's a true United legend. I personally don't want that. I want to see how he does. But in order to give him a fair crack at the whip and the right opportunity, you need to give him some money to invest in the side. And he needs to go out there and get the players that he wants. Obviously, only he knows where he wants to take this United side. Only he knows the type of football that he wants to play. But you've got to give him that. There's so many people criticising Ole after the last result against Cardiff. Yes, we've been absolutely shite recently. 2 wins out of 12 results, I believe. It's an absolute calamity, isn't it? But what you have to remember is this isn't his season. He's not started the season with this side. He has not invested any money in this team. He's dealing with other players who have been brought in for big money and haven't worked out. The recruitment at the club's been poor. And he's dealing with all of that. So let's see how he does when he is allowed, say, 150 million to spend this summer. When he has signed Harry Maguire. When maybe he has signed somebody like Gylfi Sigurdsson in the centre of the park. Or whoever it may be, to add a bit of quality to United right now that we so desperately need. And not only quality, but also players that you know are going to come in and perform for United because they've got that battlers mentality, and they've also got the proven track record in the Premier League, like people like Gylfi Sigurdsson. I mean, you look at him. I'm looking at Paul Pogba's stats this season, and he's got something like 15 goals and a bunch of assists. Most of them are penalties. But then I'm looking at Gylfi Sigurdsson at Everton, and he's basically about the same in terms of stats, in terms of goals, and I think his are more from open play or free kicks and things like that. So that's ultimately more impressive for me. You know, don't want to get into a Moneyball type situation where you're just choosing players based on statistics. But if you're looking at players who do well in the Premier League, people like Maguire, people like Sigurdsson, the stats don't lie. You know, the tackles, the challenges, all that sort of stuff. Maguire is a top Premier League defender. So that's my opinion on it anyway, guys. I do hope we do sign him this summer. I think it's a good amount of money to pay for a top quality player like that. But what I like about him is he would have an opportunity and a platform to play at a club where he can still grow, he can still have ambition and challenge, and it's not just like a final stop for him like it is maybe Alexis Sanchez. I think he can come in and be part of something special at United. And what that would mean is he comes in and he helps lead the club back to the glory days, or back to at least respectably challenging and being a lot more solid at the back. We all know we've been crying out for absolutely years that this defence is not up to the standard. The likes of Smalling, Jones, I mean, Young's being played as a wing-back, Valencia's going this summer. Even Luke Shaw recently, I know he had won Player of the Year, but okay, he probably was right up there as a candidate for Player of the Year, but still, there's errors in there, there's problems in there, there's times when, you know, he's let his runner go beyond him and it leads to a goal and silly things like that. So we do need to shore up the back line 100%. I think that's the most important thing. Maybe if you've got a player like Harry Maguire, it allows a player like Eric Bailly the opportunity to really be a quality player, because what's so frustrating about him is he's always looked quite good for us. He comes in, he does a good job, he gets injured or he gets suspended or whatever it may be, and we don't see a lot of him. It's frustrating. Hopefully, Maguire could be the foil to Bailey, which brings out the best in him. Maybe that could just be the new Vidic and Rio. Who really knows? But it's very fun to talk about it. But certainly I am only going to try and talk about players that I think are realistic coming to Manchester United. I think Maguire's one of those. Anyway, let's get into your comments. Everybody who's tuning in right now, thanks for stopping by on this random transfer talk video. I'm going to try and do a lot more videos over the summer than I usually do, because usually I just sort of go AWOL when the summer comes around. But certainly in terms of transfer videos, in terms of any news that is resulting from anything to do with Manchester United, I will absolutely be doing videos and keeping you up to date on the channel here. I'll also be doing live streams for the big games. I might do the Europa League final, for instance, for a laugh, and also the Champions League final. But let's get stuck in with your comments, lads and lasses. We've got a comment here from Thomas Nation. Thank you very much for commenting, Thomas. He comments and says, hope so. He's obviously an advocate for Harry Maguire. He likes what he sees, and rightfully so. Slabhead! I was going to say that. That's why I said slow. Slabhead at the back for Manchester United. What a look that would be. He's got a face like a slab. He's got a face like a tombstone. But that's great for stopping and blocking balls, isn't it? Dabo comments, hey Pig, word up homie. Word up to you, Dab. Thanks for stopping by here. Tom Sampson also agrees. He says that would be good if we get him. It would indeed, Tom. There's a lot of question marks hanging over it, though. Will Brendan Rodgers want him to leave? Can he do anything even if he does want to leave? Will he have a suitable replacement? Will they take Smalling and Jones in return? Please do. Please do. Say you will. If they do, then just that would be an absolute dream move. Just imagine if we could manoeuvre that. Let's say it doesn't cost us 60 million for Maguire. It costs us 50 million and they take Jones. I mean, that would solve a lot of problems right there, wouldn't it? Or they take Smalling. Just sweeten the deal a little bit. Not for them, but for us. Yeah, Matt Braga, hopefully we dump Smalling and Jones. We've got to do it regardless of whether we could get some sort of an exchange deal for either of those players. Regardless of that, we should absolutely be looking to offload those players this summer. And it's not because I dislike them or I hate them or anything. They've actually had decent seasons among them. One season in particular from Chris Smalling, he defended like an absolute boss for the whole season. I think it was that season when we had Louis van Gaal first in charge. And he was very, very impressive indeed used in that system. But generally, overall his career, he's only been a bang average player for us. Time to move on. There's better options out there. There's players that we could bring in that could improve the starting 11. We've all known since Fergie left, since Rio and Vidic left, we know that we've needed to improve and strengthen those positions at the back there because we did not have the quality in there. We have signed some defenders over the last couple of years, the likes of Eric Bailey and the likes of Victor Lindelof. And they do look like they do have the potential to go on. Especially Lindelof's looked very, very good this season, based on how shit the team has been in general. So for how shite the team has been, he's actually been one of those that's not been so unbelievably shite. But still, not absolutely fantastic. Still a little bit inconsistent here and there, but out of the defenders in our side this season, in terms of the centre-backs, he's probably done the best. So he's another player that maybe paired with Maguire could go on and just cement himself as that top-quality player for United. Maybe it will be the new Rio and Vidic. You've got Lindelof and you've got Maguire. It makes a lot of sense because they're good ball-playing defenders, but they're also good, strong defenders, good in terms of defending set pieces. One thing that United have been criticised for this season is set pieces. That's both offensively and both defensively. You know, we're caught napping, the heads go down, we're sleeping, ball comes in, we don't deal with it well enough. And somebody like Harry Maguire would definitely help out that cause just because he does get himself around. He does have the ability to clear a ball and also play out from the back. One thing I was very impressed in the World Cup from Harry Maguire for England was just how good he was on the ball. When it comes to just getting the ball, making a surging run forward or getting your head up and looking at a good pass forward to a teammate and try and make something happen from the back, play from the back. He's very good at that sort of stuff. So I absolutely do rate him. Calamity Jones in the house comments, hey Pig, Maguire is a decent mountain and he's got Premier League experience. He definitely doesn't beckon guests through the tradesman's entrance. Oh my days! How did you get me to say that? Shit. Anyway, good subtle little disgraceful comment at the end of your comment there. But anyway, he comments and says, good one there, Calamity Jones. So his comment about Maguire, yeah, he is a decent man mountain there at the back there, put his body on the line. He's just a complete tombstone head. Get his noggin on it, get his face in the way of it, get anything he can in the way of it, and he will stop the ball going to the back of the net. That's the sort of player he is. But he is also, like I say, quite good on the ball. Gungshi in the house, thank you for stopping by here, mate. Comments with a cheeky comment. Pig, Maguire might be a handy defender, better than No Bones and Small Dog at least. That's the thing, Gunshi. Like he's. It's not like we're going out there and signing Rio Ferdinand when we signed Rio. Even though, money wise, it might be very similar, because when you were signing Rio Ferdinand, you knew you were getting a special player. We'd all seen what he did for West Ham. He was special. Harry Maguire, he is very good for Leicester, don't get me wrong. He's absolutely solid as a rock. But still, it's not like he's got the necessary quality as a player like Rio Ferdinand or another top quality centre back you can think of, like a Vidic or, like a Stam, say. But he might not be that far off. Plus, United is a place where he could improve over the next 5 years. He's only 26. See what he's like when he's 31. He could be a true seasoned European Champions League standard player. And he could do that while he's at Manchester United. So I do think that's a possibility. Give him a bit of time. But he's already proven that he can do the business in the Premier League. And like you say, better than Jones and Smalling. That's sort of what we're going for right now. We're in a position where maybe we can't go and sign like Sergio Ramos and Piqué or whoever. It's not the right idea at the moment to go and spend big. Koulibaly, there's a lot of talk about him. Yeah, it would be exciting, but you'd have to spend a lot of money in order to get him, and you'd also have to pay him a lot of money in order to keep him here as well. So I think we're in that position right now where we shouldn't be trying to sign bigger marquee signings. I know I've said, £60 million, and I'm just talking about it like it's nothing. But I think that should be basically our own only marquee signing this year, address the biggest problem we've got, which is at the back, and then look to bring in other players around the squad, like Daniel James and like some other players. I don't know how much Sigurdsson would be, or people like that, people who are just committed, who are good performers, and who are not going to break the bank. Because that's the problem. We don't want to bring in another Pogba or another Sanchez who's just going to get paid a ridiculous amount of money, cause upset in the dressing room and all that sort of stuff. Absolutely not. We don't need that. This is a new United side, new mentality. We need to change overnight, basically. We need to move on a lot of those players. Maybe Sanchez could go to Serie A this summer. It's quite likely. It's possible. We might have to pay some of his wages, but it's not the end of the world. Get him off the books. Because he's not up to it, being paid too much. We're hemorrhaging money out of the club that way. That money could go and pay 3 quality players who have heart and hunger and who want to prove themselves a good wage. 500k a week, 450k a week, whatever it is, that's £150,000 a week for somebody else. And if you can bring players in for not a lot of money to begin with, then that's where we can have a lot of success, because we don't need to go and spend big. We've seen that it's not worked over the last few years. Jose spent 300 million. What did we really get from it? A couple of prima donnas, a complete couple of Frankenstein's monsters out there, freaking Twatic, Static, Matic, Lukaku, freaking Pogba, they're not really great players for Manchester United anyway. They might go on and be great players for other teams, which they probably will. Pogba would probably be fantastic for Real Madrid if he went there. It's just the way it is. But at United, I don't think he's got the right mentality. I'm not quite sure if he's cut up to the Premier League, to the hustle and bustle of the Premier League. But there's a lot of people talking about him as well. Will he stay at Manchester United this summer? That's a huge talking point, because you either keep him and you build the team around him and you try and bring in players that he wants to play with and that he's happy playing with and he has the same connection, the same wavelength with. But I look at his teammates looking at him, playing with him when he, in the Cardiff game, when he's made an error, he's not tracked back, he's not tracked his runner, he's allowed them an opportunity. I'm looking at, say, Ashley Young's face. And he's looking at him going, why are you not fucking running back for that, you absolute stripy-haired wanker? That's basically what's going on. And that's wrong when that is a £90 million player who's on 300k a week who's supposed to be a proven leader or a match winner for you. So I don't think going out there and spending big is necessarily the best thing United can do at the moment. The best thing we can do is bring in players that are proven, that are hungry, that maybe already have Premier League experience. I know it's going to be difficult. Obviously, Maguire coming to United, if we have Champions League football, right now, based on the defences that the other teams have, we would probably be in the hot seat to sign him, because City don't necessarily need to improve their defence. I know Spurs are perhaps interested in Maguire, but they don't really need to improve their defence. Arsenal do, absolutely, because they're just gash. They absolutely do need to improve their defence. Chelsea, you could argue they do as well, but still. So I think, it's going to be difficult for us to actually sign Maguire, because there will be other teams going for it who can maybe offer them Champions League football. But lucky for us, the 2 teams in the Premier League, I think, that most need him are Arsenal and United, who don't have Champions League football. So I'm not sure if the other teams will even come in, for Maguire necessarily. Super chat from Gunshi here. Thank you very much for commenting. With a super chat as well, Gunshi. He comments, Maguire would do well at United, I think. At least he wouldn't get injured every time he falls over like no bones. Yeah, well, that's what happens when you've got no bones. He hasn't got a skeleton to hold himself up, Gunshi. It's not his fault. It's a condition he's had from birth. Anyway. Obviously, I'm just kidding, but he doesn't have any bones, does he, that man? Where's the backbone, Phil? Thomas Nation here disagrees. He says Maguire is shocking. Sorry, mate. Oh, by the way, thank you very much for your super chat there, Gung Shi. Thomas Nation, Maguire is shocking. Sorry, mate. Well, that's your opinion. If you really believe that Maguire is shocking, then I just completely disagree with you in terms of defensive football, because I think he does possess a lot of the qualities that we should be looking for. Clearing the ball, heading the ball. He's got the bravery, he's got the determination, he's got the leadership at the back there, he's got the organisation, he's got the right attitude where he's not happy if his teammates are melting around him. He will bark at them, he will not be happy. So I think he could lead the back line, he could organise the back line, and he could be part of something special at United. He's shown for Leicester what a good defender he can be. Obviously, Leicester are not as good a team as Manchester United. So I think he's the right sort of man we should be looking for. Tony Soprano, how's it going, mate? Swap Jones and Smalling for a couple of planks of wood. Let's go down to B&Q and see if we can get that deal done, lad. It sounds very good. Because then we'll have, we could get a bit of decking, a bit of timber, and then we've got Logba in the centre of the park anyway. So it would create a nice little woody trifecta there. Tony also comments, Koulibaly might be better than Maguire, but we are not a club top players want to come to at the moment. Maguire is a good option. Very true, Tony. I mean, United are a special club. We've got a great history, great tradition. We can sign top players even when we don't necessarily have Champions League football. We have seen that. We've seen players like Falcao sign. We've seen players like Zlatan Ibrahimovic sign when we didn't have Champions League football. But Koulibaly, he does look a great defender. He's bossing it over there in Serie A. But it is a different league. He is very physically gifted, though. I'm sure he could come over here and be a very good player for Man United. But at the same time, it's more of a gamble than Maguire because it's more of an unknown quantity. He's not played in the Premier League. It's also more of a gamble in terms of the amount you have to spend and also the amount you have to pay him. It would heap a little bit of extra pressure on him and the team and the board and everybody and the manager if he came in for big money and didn't immediately perform and take to the Premier League like a duck to water. If he didn't come in here and be Rio or Vidic straight away, it adds a heck of a lot of pressure onto the player, it adds a heck of a lot of pressure onto the team and the manager. And I don't think that's what we need to be going for right now. We need to be signing players like you said, Tony, which are a good option at the moment, which maybe would relish the prospect of going up a level, if you like, and playing for Manchester United. Or perhaps who would, who would be getting paid a really good amount of money to play for Manchester United, which is more than they're getting now, but it still wouldn't be anywhere out of the ordinary for a player of Manchester United quality. Because that's the problem, we are paying players huge money. We don't want to bring another player in on huge money and it not work out. It will just cause all sorts of issues. Mark, shout out to you. It's going good, mate. Stipmeister, hey Piggy, what's up? What's up with you, Stipmeister? Thanks for getting involved here. Gungers with another comment. You need to stack up on Holston pills for when the hen comes home. Absolutely. Yeah, that's a good idea. I did see your comment the other day saying he makes sure Henry drinks. You know what he's like when he drinks. He turns into an animal. One of the Pig and the Hen Show podcasts we did with Henry when he was a bit pissed off, he was coming out with all sorts of gems. So I've already thought about that one, Gungshi. Thank you very much for the info. I am absolutely. I'm just gonna put some cheeky shots in as well that he doesn't even know about. Thank you very much. Comment here from Ray Magendi, who comments, I really can't understand as to why Phil Jones, Smalling and Ashley Young are still in Manchester United and the Fergie era is now over. I'm guessing you're saying, is now over. We need to sell these players and accept that they really served us. Absolutely. They have been decent servants to the club over the years, no more than that, I would say. And of course, they are remnants of the Sir Alex Ferguson days. And they are players that, we signed from lesser clubs and who thought maybe had the potential to go on and be that new Rio and Vidic. I remember when we first signed Phil Jones, I think we paid about 18 million for him, which at the time was a lot of money for a young lad. He was only young, 18, 19 years of age. He'd had a good season at Blackburn and he looked like a true player, all-round player as well. And I remember one of the first games, him getting on the score sheet with a surgeon run from defence. And he looked like an absolute all-round quality player. Can utilise him anywhere across the back line and also, even in midfield, he looked like a great option. But he's never really lived up to it. Injury problems, yes, he's injury prone, but he's very error prone as well. He's not really developed into that consistent player with great judgment in the game. He's now a professional in the peak of his powers, really, in terms of age. And yet he still hasn't developed that consistency or developed that really great judgment to be able to be a defender that just makes that little extra difference and doesn't concede that late goal and doesn't make that key error late on in games. That he's not the man, I'm afraid. So I do agree we need to Move him on. Hamad Malik comments, Daniel James is a replacement for Ashley Young. Yes, Daniel James could be coming in for around about 15 million. I think it's a good option, good young hungry talent. It's a gamble, you never know. Realistically, United could go out there and sign 6 players this summer. 3 of them could turn out to be absolutely garbage for United for whatever reason. And maybe their previous track record wouldn't you wouldn't expect that would happen, but it can happen. It's like somebody commented on my last video saying, oh, you're full of shit, mate. You're fake. You're changing your opinion on these players. You were well happy when you signed your Lukaku. You were well happy when we signed Pogba. You were well happy when we signed Sanchez. You're just fake and full of shit. That's bollocks, mate, because I was well happy at the time. Of course, I'd be happy if you're bringing in Alexis Sanchez, who was tearing it up for Arsenal and a complete match winner and one of the MVPs of the Premier League every single freaking year. Of course, you'd be happy. But I'm basing my feeling on the signing of him at the time on how he did at his previous club. And now I'm judging him on how he's done wearing the red shirt of Manchester United. And I'm telling you, it's absolutely garbage, lad. So, of course, you can change your opinion. Of course, you can be happy about a player coming in. Doesn't mean he's going to translate into success out there on the pitch. Pogba, Lukaku, Sanchez, they're all shining examples of that. But, yeah, I think now is the time. We've got to move those big lads on. And we've got to bring some hungry players in. And we are not in the pool of players. We're not fishing in the pool of players which are, in the market to join Madrid or in the market to join Bayern Munich or in the market to join Liverpool or Man City at the moment. No, we should be signing players from Leicester City, teams that are slightly below us, but get the best players from them, get the best possible players that we can. That's my opinion on it anyway. Super chat from James Arnold. Thank you, James, for getting involved here. He said he would be a good signing. I'm glad I made this video because I just wanted to see what you people thought about it. He's a player I've always rated for a long time now, and I think he would be able to come in and provide that bit of bottle and that bit of guile that Manchester United so desperately need now. So I'm glad that the general consensus seems to be that it would be a good signing, and it probably a realistic signing as well. It's not just a name we're plucking out from the ether and we're like, yeah, we're going to sign him. No, it's actually a realistic signing for Manchester United at this stage because it is a bigger club than Leicester. He can make a little bit more money, but I don't want that to be the key motivation. And, he probably would relish the opportunity of pulling on that red shirt for United. That's my personal opinion. Who really knows? Let's see what Slabhead does. But I'd like to see him at the back there. It's certainly a better option than Smalling and Jones right now anyway. Thank you very much for your comment there, James. Billy T, hi to you, mate. Shout out to you. Thanks for getting involved here. Manchester United 96 comments, this would be a great signing, a centre-back with some bottle. Absolutely. Reiterating the feeling of the fans here is that he is a player who possesses some cojones, man. Not only does he possess his tombstone face, he's also got the rocks down below where it counts. And that's important because we are a club that is desperate for leaders right now. We've got melters galore at the club. We've got players who let their heads drop like Pogba. We've got Smalling and Jones who just absolutely melt like a snow cone in Phoenix every single freaking game they play together. So, yes, I agree. We need to sign leaders. It would be, very important to get some bottle in this side. We don't want to overtake Arsenal as the premier bottling company of the Premier League. We need to do something about it. Archie with a super chat here. Thanks for getting involved here. He comments and says, Madrid want Pogba for 150 million. Hell yes, out you go. Thank you, Archie. Yeah, I agree, man. I would take a lot less than 150 million for him. I know he is a good player to have in your club in terms of exposure, in terms of brand. He's like a hero in France. He's a World Cup winner in France. He's probably got like 30 million followers on Insta or whatever it is. But that really doesn't count for shit out there on the pitch for United where it really matters. But as a global branding device to try and improve yourself commercially, he's a good player to sign, which is probably why we signed him in the first place, which is probably why Ed Wood signed him in the first place, because he's a commercial man. He's not a football man. He's not looking at it from a perspective of how can we improve the team out there on the pitch necessarily. He's looking to get big names in, big marquee signings, and that policy over the last few years has not worked out for us at all, because all of the big signings we've made have turned out to be absolutely garbage. So I think we need a change of our policy. I'd like to have a change of Ed Woodward, actually. Get somebody else in, get Gill back or whatever it may take. But it's not worked out well with him. We'll see what he does. We'll see whether he's got the ability to to fashion a move away for Paul Pogba this summer. Let's see if Ed Woodward has the cojones to move some of this crap out of the club. Some of these big name players like Alexis Sanchez and Paul Pogba, they don't deserve to be starting the next season at Manchester United, in my opinion. They've not lived up to it. They've not deserved to. They've had plenty of time to prove themselves. They're just shit. They're garbage players. For United, they'll go elsewhere and be amazing. You just watch. You just watch Sanchez sign for Juventus and get 30 assists for Ronaldo next season, or you just watch Pogba go to Madrid and be the next Zinedine Zidane. You watch that happen. I think it will happen. But I just don't think they will ever be the right fit for United. The fans are not really truly on their side because of the way they carry themselves out there on the pitch. That's more of it. Pogba, it's not about the technical ability. We can see on his day, he's amazing. It's about his cojones. It's about his melt jobs. It's about his bottle jobs out there on the pitch where his head goes down. We go 1-0 down. His balls, they shrivel up, man. Thank you very much for your comment there, Archie. Much appreciated. But yes, guys, I'm just going to wrap it up here. I don't want to miss anybody's comments, but obviously, like somebody commented on my previous video, not happy that I missed their comment and was just reading out super chat comments. But anybody who knows this live stream knows that I generally probably read out more comments from non-super chatters than I do super chatters. It's just that if somebody's taking the actual time and money to send a comment in, you know, I'd be pissed off if I did that and somebody didn't read it out when there's only 3 or 4 or whatever super chats coming through of a stream. I'd be pissed off if maybe I commented on a video and I didn't get it read out. But if there's loads coming through, what do you expect? But I'd be even more pissed off if I actually, you know, sent a quid or 2 or whatever and the person didn't read it out. So no offense to anybody who is not getting their comment read out right now, but obviously these are highlighted on my screen. I've got to read them before I go. I've been rambling on way too long anyway. 36 minutes we've been going now. How do we do that? Literally just turned this on a little while ago. Now 36 minutes have gone by. It's crazy. But James Arnold with another super chat before we go. We need proper competition for places. Absolutely, we do need to improve in those in that regard and have true competition for places. Bring in somebody like Maguire in, getting rid of Jones or Smalling. That would mean, you know, you've got Bailey and Lindelof and Maguire fighting out for who's going to be that centre-back pairing, and that is what you need. And doesn't work the same when you've got players of lesser calibre like Jones and Smalling, because they're just fighting to be the biggest melter, basically. So that doesn't work. But yeah, we do need some quality in there. We do need to add competition for places, no doubt about it. There's way too many comfortable prima donnas in there who are picking up their huge, insane paychecks, regardless of how they're performing out there. That Cardiff City game, last game of the season, send off for the fans, that was an absolute disgrace. It really was. Right, guys, I'm going to wrap this video up, but thank you so much for tuning into this live stream transfer talk video. There'll be lots more coming on this channel over the summer. I'm not going AWOL this summer. I'm going to try and do a video every single day. I'm sure there'll be some new stories to do with Manchester United that I'll be able to discuss. Even big transfers from other clubs and stuff like that. If it's got any sort of relevance to United, I will be keeping you up to date with what's going on there. Anything cement happens, you'll hear about it on the channel here. And anything that's realistic, like this Harry Maguire signing to Manchester United, you will also hear about it on the channel. For now, Bacon Brigade, thanks so much for tuning in. Little shout out to my patrons as well. We've got a new patron. Shout out to you, Nick. Thanks so much for stopping by. Links in the description if you want to check it out. But anyway, thank you so much for stopping by on the live stream. Do us a favor, smash a like on this video before you go. Hit that subscribe button if you are new to the channel. Come back in a few minutes if I've not read your comments. And make sure you do get your thoughts and opinions in on Harry Maguire's potential move to Manchester United. Let me know what you guys think about it. Shout out to you lads at the end here. Richard James, Raptor, Beats Prod by CM. Lalu Pato, Gungshi, of course, absolute legend, Northern Nightmare, Richard James, all the usual commenters, all the new commenters, all the super chatters, much appreciated. You're a bunch of legends. Have yourselves a very good day. I will keep you up to date with what's going on. Alex Rudd popping up at the end here, top man. Thanks for getting involved here at the end. I'll see you guys very soon. This is the Pig on Flying Pig United. Take it easy, have yourselves a good one, and come on United. Now is the time to pull your finger out, Woodward, make some deals happen, get rid of some shite from the club, and improve this bloody starting 11. Love you guys. I'll see you soon. Take it easy. This is the Pig.